I just wanted to talk about renting versus buying. And this has been a conversation for a long time. And I've seen it come up a bit more on social media after people have watched the How to Get Rich or I Can Teach You to Be Rich guy. I actually read his book or part of his book some time back. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of stuff that I already knew, a lot of common sense stuff. I have the same beliefs as he does for the most part. And I've been seeing the conversation come up again on social media in regards to renting versus buying. Now, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent in Miami. I look at buying as an investment tool. I want to buy for investment purposes. But as I can see now, being a renter in Miami and a real estate agent in Miami, I've worked with landlords, I've worked with tenants, I work with buyers, and I worked with sellers. And now I focus on the listing side, but I can still see the pain points from the buyers and tenants. So my perspective on renting versus buying, first thing I'm going to say is it depends on the city that you live in. I'm going to say that because in Miami, when it comes to renting versus buying, it's complex because for the most part, no one really can afford a house in Miami unless you want to live somewhere that's not Miami. If you want to buy a house somewhere that's near where everything's like the city or let alone the beach, it's going to be $1 million and not even great houses. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not saying literally $1 million, but it's going to be expensive. A house that would be $200,000 somewhere else will be $800,000 here. And 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot house is going to be about $800,000, depending on the areas. And that's what anywhere, when it comes to being closer to the city, it's going to be more expensive, but Miami is pretty bad. So you're going to be looking at buying a condo for the most part. Now, when we're talking about buying a condo versus renting in Miami, I think you rent, even with the high rent prices. Why? Because association fees in Miami are very expensive. You can be paying up to $1,500, if not more, in just the association fee. That's a mortgage. That's more than a mortgage. And I just don't know if that's really worth it. If you got the money, by all means, go ahead and do it. But when you're looking at these buildings, especially these luxury buildings, it's expensive. You know what I'm saying? It's expensive. Let's just be real. It's not just the prices. We got to think about the condo association fee. And with the condo reform, even with newer buildings, they might have special assessments because some of these places do not have enough reserves. And they're going to have to up the fees to get enough reserves so that if any issues happens that they can get them fixed. And with the older buildings, they got to get brought up to speed. With the collapse and the reform, they have to get renovations and repairs completed. And some of these buildings are not doing really well. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I really do not know when it comes to buying. It depends on what are you buying for. Now, if you're just buying for yourself and you have the means, by all means, go ahead and do it. I say that my perspective from buying is always to be buying for an investment purpose, whether it's if you're going to live in it for some years with the thought process of renting it out later. That's my thought process when it comes to buying. I don't think that you should just be buying just to buy it. Now, if you're buying, you're starting a family and you live in a place where you're going to raise your family, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Prices typically appreciate, especially like I've had a couple of clients that bought before the pandemic. They bought at a perfect time. Interest rates were low and they got very good prices. They already have equity now, a lot of equity, and it's only going to continue to appreciate long term. Yes, there will be downturns in the market, prices will go down, but long term it will appreciate. That makes sense. If you're planning on staying in Miami for 5 years, there's a good chance that if you buy a condo now and you're trying to just sell it in 5 years, you're going to lose money. I do think that prices at some point will come down. I'm not saying that the market's going to crash. I've lived in Miami for about 7 years now. No, longer than that. About 8 years. And ever since I've lived here, people said that the market was going to crash. My old roommate was always saying, oh, I can't wait for the market crash for me to buy. And I'm just like, yeah, you should have definitely bought back then because those prices are long gone. I think that there's no issue. There's in any city and for any reason, don't ever let anybody's perspective or opinions sway you into making a decision, whether it's your real estate agent or a mortgage broker or somebody on social media or these financial gurus on the. Just listen. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to own property. You don't have to be a landlord. You don't have to have a bunch of Airbnbs. You don't have to have a bunch of Turo cars. Everybody's a hustler nowadays. Everybody's an entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with renting. There's nothing wrong with having a job. I don't want to get into some preachy stuff, but staying on topic, there's no issues, nothing wrong wrong with renting. I love renting because it gives me flexibility and I can just leave after my lease is up. If something breaks, they fix it. When you buy a property, for one, I always say you should at least still be able to put 20% down. And a lot of people can't. Now, I know that you don't have to buy a property with 20% down. You can do it with at least 3%. In some cases, you don't have to pay anything down. But you need to prove to yourself that you are financially responsible enough to save 20% to put down on a house. And when it comes to buying a house or a property, you have to have money set aside for if something happens. I don't believe many people do that. So when something happens, you buy a condo, or you buy a house or whatever the case may be, and something happens, something breaks, you don't have the funds to pay it. And then what? And then in Miami, let's just say you buy a condo, right? You find a place, you can buy it 3% down. You don't have that much money, but you're able to pay the down payment and actually buy the property. And then a huge special assessment comes 6 months later and you can't pay it. You're going to lose your condo. If you can't pay the association fee, it's going to be a lien on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think that it just depends on your own financial situation. It depends on your goals. Everything always depends on your personal situation when it comes to anything, let alone making the biggest purchase of your entire life. That should not come because of fear of missing out. It shouldn't come from hearing stuff from your peers. The market goes up and down, so what? You know what I'm saying? You missed out on Bitcoin too, didn't you? So you'll be okay. You're still living. You're still enjoying life. But if you're ready to buy and you want to invest, it's going to become an investment for you. I think it's perfect. I had a guy that was supposed to buy. He didn't buy. Good dude, man. He took me to the Heat game. But he moved. He just moved. And if he would have bought when he was supposed to buy, which was, I think, 2021, he would have got a pretty good price. And he wanted to do it as an investment. He was going to rent it out afterwards. But let's just say that he actually bought and he just moved to Tampa and he wanted to sell his place. He would have made easily $200,000, $300,000 in a couple of years. Easily. That makes sense. And not because it makes sense because he'd have made all that money. It makes sense because he would have been able to rent it out for a good amount of money, and that was his goal. What has happened since the pandemic is something that might not ever happen again, at least in our lifetime. I can't say that to go buy a house or buy a condo and expect to make $200,000, $300,000 in 2 to 3 years. That's just not going to happen. You see a lot of people trying to do that on the market right now. You see a lot of flippers out on the market that just bought their property for a high price last year and they're trying to sell it for a higher price now. But I just said a whole bunch of stuff. If you're on the fence in regards to buying or renting, take a look at your situation. If you have any doubts because of financial reasons, then you shouldn't be buying. Plain and simple. Just rent. Try to save as much money as you can on renting. If you can move home, man, move home. Listen, if my mom was alive and she had a nice place, I would have been home years ago. You know, ain't nothing wrong with resetting because everything is expensive here. And just in general, everything's high. So again, it depends on. See, this is what happened when you buy cheap stuff. You gotta buy a different stand. And I'm not even gonna edit it out because I'm not trying to be perfect on my podcast. Like I was saying, it depends on what your situation is, and it's fine if you continue to rent. There's literally nothing wrong with it. If you want to buy it, then great. But make sure that you are always planning for the worst. Make sure you have money aside for the unexpected to happen. And that's pretty much it. It's up to you. It is up to you. I never introduced myself. My name is Anthony Johnson. I'm a real estate agent in Miami, and I'm also the creator of Olio. And this podcast is called Just Another Miami Real Estate Agent. The reason why it's that was because I couldn't think of a name, and there's a million real estate agents in Miami. Everybody's a real estate agent in Miami. I've been a real estate agent for 7 years. I've never been a top producing agent. I've done good enough to survive, and I'm creating my own real estate platform. Show love and some support. You can check out my website, subscribe to the newsletter. You can get emails every time I post an article, and just show some love. Click some ads on my blogs. But yeah, so this is going to be, I think I'm going to continue to do this. I like this. This feels good versus me trying to do YouTube videos. I don't like doing YouTube videos because I can't get past the intro. I can't say the most basic things for some reason, but this felt good. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give me feedback. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to become a great content creator. I think I've done a great job building my own platform. So I think, and I didn't start off that good. So I think that I can get better at this. I'm introverted and I don't like speaking to people out in the public. And so I have to create content. And I know that's weird for me to be an introverted real estate agent. I have pretty good relationships with people when I actually get to know them and stuff. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video.